Mayor Thomas's nomination to Morristown Utility Commission. Before I give you the name of my nominee, I would like to ask the city attorney to give you the opinion of MTAS as to how the nomination process is to be carried out for the remainder of the nominations. And I would also, before I do that and turn it over to the city attorney, give you an explanation as to why this was all about. Mr. Jesse is our city attorney, is one of the most trustworthy people I know of, and I take everything he says to heart. But in this case, our city attorney also is the attorney for Morristown Utility Commission. Has nothing to do with trust, and Dick knows that. It's just that it puts him in an unusual position, and I thought I would take some of the pressure off of him and get an opinion from MTAS. With that, I'll say again, I take everything that Dick says to heart, and I trust him. Without any question, Dick, would you please give the opinion of MTAS?
I'll do my best.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little bit complicated, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. The initial question was, at the May 1st meeting, when the act was ratified, at what point did that ratification become effective? And Mr. Hemsley, who I had a chance to talk with today, and by the way, I want to make one disclaimer. I did not draft this private act. That was done by legislative council. He based the opinion letter that you received and shared with me on the assumption that you had made the nomination prior to the ratification of the act. So I think maybe that's why both of us were confused a bit about the content of his letter. And we clarified that fact, along with the fact he didn't know that the list of the 3 persons selected by the Utilities Commission had been delivered prior to that meeting. And I told him about that. So I think he thinks it's more probable than not, even though he wasn't clear on those facts. He thinks it's more probable than not that the action taken at that meeting by the mayor in making a nomination was premature, because you were acting from a list that had been furnished under the old act. And if that is the case, and I think that's a reasonable interpretation, then you would have, you haven't nominated anyone since that meeting.
No, sir.
You would begin counting with your nomination today.
And that was the reason for not giving a name at the last meeting. I know Councilmember LaBelle asked me that. And the reason was I had questions as to how many more nominations I was permitted, and I wanted to stay within the guidelines of what has been changed by this council. Okay, with that.
Was that at all clear?
No.
No, even after we had received the opinion, Dick and I sat down and we looked at it and we still said, wow, what did this, but it makes sense if you, and I think it takes the pressure off of, I think it's asking a lot of you to represent bodies and give an opinion.
I understand perfectly, Mayor. Don't worry about that.
And that was the purpose for that.
The real crux of it is, and it could go either way, does the fact that the utility system made this list that was submitted for your consideration prior to ratification of the new act, does that render the action taken by you ineffective as of that meeting? And it could go either way, but I think his interpretation is a reasonable.
Very good.
My main question is this number 1, 2, or 3?
This is number 1.
This is number 1.
With that, is there any question from council on why that action was taken, why I went to MTAS? Do you understand the reason for it? Okay.
I think you're just dragging this whole thing out to embarrass the city some more, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, that is your opinion, council member.
Because to what end, Mayor?
And that's obvious.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's both your opinions, gentlemen. If you want to discuss it one at a time, go ahead.
Mayor, what is your nomination today?
We have no more discussion. All right. City Council's consideration of Mayor Thomas's nomination to Morristown Utility Commission for a 5-year term to expire on August 2016 is Peter Campbell.
I make that motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Motion fails for a second.
I'd make the motion, we reject that nominee.
We have a motion to reject the nomination. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
All right. Any discussion by council? All right, at this point, we'll vote. Remember, this is the one where you are saying, I agree with this motion, you would vote.
No.
Let me see, I'm getting it backwards.
You got
The
yes.
motion is to reject.
To reject, so you're
Yes
either going
is to
yes for the
reject.
rejection or no, not to reject. All right, please enter your votes. 5 yeas, 2 nays. Passes.